Well, hello and welcome to this edition of the EV Revolution Show. My name is Kenneth Bokor for episode 85. Before I start the show, just want to express my best wishes to everybody during these trying times over the coronavirus situation. I know that the probability is really low of a lot of people catching it. However, with all the acts that are and the measures that are going on now in most of the countries, including here in Toronto and Canada, with a lot of closures and asking people to stay home and all that kind of stuff, it'll be a little bit pressing, a little bit stressful for the next few weeks as we get over this, but we will. And I want to wish everybody all the best during these times. So hopefully my show and other YouTube shows and things that you watch, you'll find the time to be able to enjoy them just a little bit more. So let me get into this edition, which is really just talking about a lot of car announcements. Now, the first impressive news that came out over the last few weeks is the accomplishment of Tesla with the Model 3 in becoming the most single-sold BEV, a battery electric vehicle model on the planet. It surpassed the Nissan Leaf sometime in late February or early March timeframe around those numbers, with somewhere over 450,000 worldwide sales for the Model 3. In fact, it was at 447 at the end of 2019. So obviously with January and February, it'd be closer to the 500,000 mark, or 475, 480 mark. So certainly past where the Leaf was at around 460, 470 is the estimates. We don't have a hard number on that. But congratulations to Tesla for really advancing and being able to overtake that position in just a couple of years versus Nissan, which had about 10 years on that market. But, let's not forget the contribution that Nissan has made to the all-electric battery vehicle marketplace with the Leaf, and it does continue to sell globally. And sticking with Tesla, the Model Y is now shipping. Deliveries have started in California at least, and most likely some other states in the US, with deliveries here in Canada coming in the middle part of this year. I would say the May or June timeframe, by the way things are moving along with Tesla. But congratulations, there's lots of videos now and photos and all kinds of peeks at the Model Y. There's also an online user manual that somebody's posted. I actually tweeted it, and then I believe Inside EVs picked it up and put it out there, and Clean Technica. So everybody's showing this thing off. So there's now a mountain of information on the Model Y, and including some first impressions and first drives, so you can go check it out. If you have one on order, it should be coming soon if you're in the US and Canada, again a few months, and the rest of the world to follow. So congratulations on Tesla for reaching another milestone. Now, the big news over the last couple of weeks, I got sidetracked a little bit with some videos that I was still producing, getting ready for editing, and then, of course, coronavirus stuff, so it's kind of slowed things down a little bit, but certainly was the GM EV Day back in March. In fact, that was on March 4th, the early part of this month. And it was a big event because it was I would say it's a turning point, at least that's what it appeared to be, from General Motors, that they're really coming out to say statements like, we want to put everyone in an EV, and we're all in with electric vehicles. These are really compelling statements from one of the world's largest auto manufacturers, and I hope that it is true. We will wait to see. But they are saying they want to put $50 billion in investments over the next 5 years, and by the middle of this decade to have $1 million per year EVs per year shipping in North America and in China. So they're going to do this by expanding on their announced platform, their EV platform, which includes batteries from LG Chem in a partnership. In fact, LG Chem is going to build, or is in the process now of building, a new battery plant in Ohio. And that's expected to bring, that partnership and the investments are expected to bring battery drive down below $100 US per kilowatt early in the cycle of these new platforms. So let's say, next year, 2021, 2022 timeframe, by the time these platforms get going. We'll have to wait and see. And this is going to be new battery chemistry. They're ethically sourced materials and environmentally friendly. Now, the EV portfolio will consist of 19 powertrain modules. They're going to have up to 400-mile ranges. These are, EPA numbers that the GM is touting, with battery pack sizes anywhere from 50 to 200 kilowatt hour in size. Everything is underpinned by the Ultium battery technology, as GM is calling their battery packs. Again, more energy dense with less space, and that's the golden nugget that people are trying to get to. I mentioned all the 19 platforms. Well, they've announced at least 10 vehicles or 10 thoughts about vehicles that they want to bring to the market over the next decade, over the next at least half a decade, built on the Ultium foundation. And they are as follows. First of all, we are going to get the Hummer, of course, and I talked about the Hummer on a previous show. There's two versions of the Hummer they're planning. One's called an SUT. There's also their standard SUV version of the Hummer. They have confirmed that they do want to go ahead with a Chevrolet branded pickup truck of some sort, with a battery capacity of up to 200 kilowatt hours, a crossover SUV called the Lyric, and it was teased, of course, before this announcement, but it's going to be underpinnings on the BEV platform that GM has announced here. There's also the Cadillac Escalade, full EV. And this is going to be probably, again, the largest battery pack that they'll come out with in the area of 200 kilowatt hour sizes. Cadillac also wants to keep bring out a model called the Celestiq. It's a four-door fastback type of vehicle. Buick wants to come out with a mid-size SUV, all-electric version, somewhere in the maybe up to 100 kilowatt hour battery pack sizes, and a possibly dual motor version of that. Sticking with Buick, they also want to come over with a crossover, a full electric crossover. That's kind of more of a sport wagon type of approach. And then, of course, the Chevy version, the Chevrolet division, wants to stay with the midsize SUV as well, something kind of like an all-electric counterpart to the Equinox or Blazer that they have, and could have a top battery pack of 100 kilowatts. Now, I haven't talked about the Cruise Origin because I'm not really following the fully automated EV portfolio. I'm kind of more consumer-based, trying to talk about people to get into EVs, not people to get into robot driving EVs. However, I understand their importance and the significance that they can play on the automotive transportation landscape. Well, the Cruise Origin is part of the driverless future for General Motors. So that's kind of a snapshot from GM on what they're looking to do. It was good news, really helped the EV marketplace. Again, much more substantiated when you get these large vendors beyond Tesla coming out and making really bold statements like VW has now, like GM has, and Volvo and others. All good news for us. Continuing on with quick updates, Fiat, of course, I talked about the 500e. Well, it's now available for pre-ordering. There's a special launch edition that you can get. It has a single motor with a 42 kilowatt hour battery pack. Produces about 118 horsepower, 88 kilowatts of power. 9 seconds, 0 to 100K. Doesn't really matter for that kind of car. Top speed, 93 miles an hour, 150 kilometers an hour, and a range of just under 200 miles, and that's Euro spec WLTP. So EPA maybe take 20 miles off of that, something like that. So maybe the 180 mile, 170 to 180. I think that's pretty competent for a car of that size. Using up to an 85, I believe it's an 85 kilowatt charging speeds that it will support from a fast charging perspective. Starting price for the special launch edition is 37,500 euros. What else? Lithium-ion batteries, I talked about that, and all the other specs. 2.7 kilowatt on board for your daily charging needs. So good to see some more specs on Fiat, and if anybody has anything on order, please let me know. Mentioned briefly the Volkswagen earlier. They've hammered down more information on the ID3 platform, coming out with 3 regular versions, calling it the Pure, the Pro, and the Pro S versions. The Pure coming with a 45 kilowatt hour battery pack, the Pro with a 58 kilowatt hour battery pack, and the Pro S with 77 kilowatt hours. Again, this is all for the ID3 platform, the 4-door hatchback that's shipping in Europe. They have received more than 37,000 reservations for this, even though they said that the launch edition they're only going to build 30,000, so I'm not sure what they're going to do. Now, it's scheduled for launch this summer. However, as I said in the last show, and I believe I've tweeted, the corona situation is going to impact manufacturing, especially international manufacturing, so non-US Canada based for now. These, when they talk about launch, these things definitely could be pushed out. So again, you have those 3 models, and the ranges on the Pure versions are about 330 kilometers. These are all WLTP, so take a little bit off for EPA. 330 kilometers, 205 miles, 420 kilometers, 261 miles, and 550 kilometers, 342 miles for those different versions. 93 kilowatt motor up to 150 kilowatt motor, and 50 kilowatt up to 125 kilowatts of charging. And it could, they're also going to come out with an entry-level model, as I've talked about before, with a price tag less than 30,000 euros on the German market. That will be good. We'll wait to see that coming out. And more information for Volkswagen on the ID.4, their long-range compact SUV that's scheduled for North American markets. No full specs yet, but it's anticipated up to 500 kilometers or 310 miles. That number sounds quite common. Gee, where did I hear that number before? Oh yes, the Model 3. But anyway, under WLTP, so shave a little bit off for EPA. So I guess all these are based on the MBB platforms. They'll have a rear and all-wheel drive option, DC fast charging, probably in the 125 to 150 kilowatt range, and two version body styles, an SUV potentially, and a coupe style. Now, they throw these SUV terms quite around. I think it's more of a crossover based on what I've seen, but wait to be seen. So, again, anybody gets any information as far as getting something on order? I'm not hearing that they're taking orders yet for this, but let me know. Staying in Germany with BMW, they've unwrapped the i4 Sedan. They couldn't do it live at Geneva, of course, with everything being cancelled, but they did an online reveal going into production in 2021. Nice looking vehicle. This is basically, where they're pushing into the all electric category with their 3 Series as well. 80 kilowatt battery, 530 horsepower, 0 to 100 kilometers in 4 seconds, top speed 200, and a range of 600 kilometers, WLTP. So a really good range if they can hold on to that from an EPA standpoint. No other information given that I'm aware of, other than it's going to be, they're going to have a lot of haptic control systems in this thing, and they will announce more as they get closer to revealing something. Now, I talked about Mazda on previous episodes. The first 500 Mazda MX-30 electric SUVs should arrive in the UK at the beginning of next year, with prices starting under 27,000 euros. I'm glad to see these prices come down. You can pre-order them now. 35.5 kilowatt hour battery pack, 141 horsepower, 124 miles on a single charge. So a little lean on the charges. On the range, that doesn't tell me if that's an EPA number, so I'll assume it's a WLTP. So it could be only around 110 or so EPA. 50 kilowatt rapid charger. So again, this could fit a lot of use cases for people that maybe not want to do a ton of long range driving, but have the ability to go full electric and be a very capable vehicle. And switching gears to Honda. Now, Honda, quick announcement that the Clarity Electric is not coming back to the US after the 2019 model year. They are done with it. It's a shame. It is still available here in Canada. I'm not sure about other parts of the country, but for the USA, they've gotten rid of it. So there's some, last minute deals that you can get if you're interested in the Clarity plug-in hybrid. Go for it. Some really cheap electric lease, really cheap deals on that. So if anybody gets one, let me know. Quick announcement from a Chinese-based organization called Airways. I haven't talked about them too much, or Aiways, I guess, there's no R in that. They've recently unveiled their all-electric SUV, the Aiways US, scheduled to be on sale in Europe this August as a 2021 model year. It's a first full electric SUV from a Chinese startup happening in Europe. Specs, let's see here. They're talking about 400 kilometers, 250 miles, WLTP, 63 kilowatt hour battery pack with liquid cooling, 140 kilowatt motor producing 315 newton meters of energy, front wheel drive, 6.6 onboard charger, and all the basic specs after that. So let's wait and see what happens there. But if anybody has one on order, again in Europe, I'd love to hear from you. And finally, about new vehicles it's kind of an existing vehicle, but coming to a new market. The Ford Transit's coming to North America to join the Mach-E, and of course the anticipated F-150 all-electric in North America. It's going to be from a 2022 model year. It's the best-selling cargo van in the world, the Ford Transit, but of course they've got an all-electric version that's coming. No specs as far as size, but I'm sure it'll be competitive enough to be able to use for daily use for those operators that need that smaller van, urban-ish deliveries and that kind of stuff to use. So good to see more of these kind of vehicles coming to North America. All right, and that's it for this edition of the EV Revolution Show, episode 85. A lot of information to cover in a shorter period of time. Again, as I mentioned, thank you everybody for taking the time to watch my shows. If you like it, please subscribe if you haven't. It is free to subscribe and you won't get harassed with a lot of emails and stuff. Again, I always want to thank Patreon supporters. If you're not aware of how you can help me on Patreon, please check out this link on my website. Even $1 a month would help me to continue to support my efforts on this show as I continue to grow and do more with it. Again, as I started to say at the beginning of the show, I want to wish everybody all the best during these trying times. This will take another month or so before we probably see most of the ripple effects in the positive side, now that we're seeing from China as the cases there slow down, but it will get worse for us versus getting better anytime soon. So please, everybody, keep the stress levels down, keep the faith. We are going to get through this nicely, and we'll be back on track. And continue to watch the electric vehicle marketplace, because it is changing, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and so many stories now. I tell you, from the websites that I check out every day, that I just can't keep up with all the stories. So try to pick out a few that I think you'll be interested in. So again, hope you enjoyed this show. Everybody stay safe, and until the next show, I'll see you when I see you. Take care. Bye-bye.